Today is October 18th, 2016. My name is Tara, and I'm the Sales Enablement Manager here at PandaDoc. And also joining us today is James, our Technical Manager. In this webinar, we'll walk through all the basics that will help you create professional, editable templates in PandaDoc. We'll create a template from start to finish, assign roles with signing order, create a workflow, save content library sections, and more. Don't forget, during this webinar at any time, you can download our handouts from the GoToWebinar panel. Also, if you have questions during the presentation, type them into the chat box at any time, and we'll have a Q&A somewhere in the middle and then again at the end of the training. I believe that most of you are somewhat familiar with PandaDoc. So here I am in my PandaDoc window, and we'll just jump in and get started. So what we're going to talk about today are templates. And here on the left, of course, you have your menu that drives you to the different areas of PandaDoc. And today we're going to work in here, which is the templates area. And one of the things that you'll notice is, and templates are great because the benefit is it improves efficiency, it creates consistency across your company and business, and it allows the administrator to control the content and branding. So here we see that we can use folders to organize your templates. So I have some folders set up, and you can set your folders up in any way that makes sense for your business. Some of our accounts have different business segments, so you might have sales, operations, marketing. You may also have folders by employee, and also by region or brand. Here on the left of the template name is a box. If you hover over this, you can check those boxes, and this would allow you to duplicate, move, or delete those templates. You can also work with templates on the right side, and you have the same options. Here you can also rename a template. Right in the middle we have something called tags, and tags will allow you to add tags to your template so that they're easily searchable. You can add tags of any type. I can add a synergy tag here. I can add a logistics tag here. And I might add a new employee tag here. And because it didn't find that tag in my list of available tags, it allows me to create a new tag. So now this will be available going forward, and I can just add that to my templates. So now that we've taken a look at the basic template interface, let's go in and create a new template. So I click the new template button, and we're going to create a new template here in our builder. So our builder templates are editable, and it makes for, to be able to customize your documents that you send out to your customers. There's a lot of evidence that personalization and customization and speaking directly to the needs of that unique customer makes a difference in how they respond to the document that you're sending out to them. So here we are, and we are going to create a sales proposal, and this is going to be our foundation for all of the sales proposal documents that the team will send out to our clients. You can also tag templates inside of the template area. So it works the same way. We just add them inside of the template interface. So we're going to do something like this. We're going to put it together. So you'll see we have a cover page, we have a header, a couple of heading blocks, images, some text, and tables. So let's get started by dragging in the blocks. So let's take a look at our blocks. So we have a heading block. We're going to need one of those. We have a text block. I know we'll use that, so I'll drag that in. Image block. And a cover page. So let's start with those. So we saw that our cover page had a background here. And I've uploaded that image into our image library. If I click on library here and images, you'll see some of the images that are in the library. But let's pretend that I haven't uploaded it. So we're going to click to activate the cover page, and all you do is click on top of it, and the cover page settings will come up here. So each block that you click on, the settings for that block will show up in this right panel. Click on the block, and there are the settings. Back to the cover page, I'm going to add a background image, and I'm going to upload the image. And I can choose a local file here. And here's that cover page image. Now I'm uploading, and when it finishes, it will ask me if I want to use and save it to the library, or just use the image and don't save it to the library. I've already saved it, so this time I'm going to say just use image. So here's our background image, and just a little about this image. It's a flattened 8.5 by 11 sized image, and you would save it as a PNG or a JPEG. Here we can add our logo. So I have that already in my library. I'm just going to find it, and it's this one. And I think that I had it centered. So when I click on this block, I can choose left, center, or right alignment. And I'm going to choose center. You can also choose to include your your logo on your cover page image background, in which case you could turn that logo off. So I'm going to center it up here. Then I have my title box here, and I'm going to also center that. And then we have another block called, this is a text box, and we have two options. We have a 2-column layout. So we have column 1 and column 2. Or you can choose to just have a 1-column layout. Now this is a little dark against the background, so I'm going to see if we can't change the color. So up in our editor area here, we have several options. I'm going to change the font color to white, and I'll also do it for this second column. And again, you could also choose to go to 1 column or 2. And I could also center this text if I choose to. On the next page, we're going to talk about our header block. Oops, we don't have it in there yet. So let's look at back again. See, I have this header area. I'm going to drag in a header block. And I have a image left. I'm going to add my logo again. And here you can type any text. So it might be your address and phone number, whatever you choose to put in there, you can. So here we have a heading. So this is a heading title. And you'll see on the right-hand side we have several options for the heading. We have sizes H1 through H6. Your H1 is your largest, and the H6 is going to be your smallest. We can go up and see the various sizes that are available. You can also change the font for all of your headings by clicking More and going to Design. And here's your heading font selector. So let's say we want to use Railway, and then our text font, which is our body text, we could choose something like Source Sans Pro. So let's grab some text to put in here, I have some that I'm just going to copy and paste over. I'm going to click in my text box and paste that in. And it looks like we're going to need to add that paragraph separation. So there we go. Now you'll see in my text box I have tokens that have activated. Tokens are pieces of personal variable content that will help you personalize your documents. So one that's used quite frequently is, say, proposal for company name. You'll see that I can make a token out of any text by wrapping it in these square brackets. So if I open that square bracket here and close it here, this becomes a token as well. So part of tokens is roles. And roles in PandaDoc are like placeholders for the real recipients that you're going to send these documents to when they're created. So one of the roles that is frequently used is client. So we're going to add that role. Let's also add a role called sender. So we have a client, and they're likely going to be on the receiving end of this document. You have your sender, who is likely going to be your sales rep or other employee who's sending the document. Now, because the sender is likely always going to be the person who is creating and sending the document, I'm going to assign that, pre-assign it to that document sender. So whoever is logged in and creates the document with this template is automatically, PandaDoc's automatically going to know that they are the sender. The client, you would not pre-assign because that's probably going to change with each document that is sent. Signing and forwarding. So document forwarding will also turn that on. This will allow your recipients to see a forward button on their menu, and when they forward it to their counterparts, those recipients will be tracked up here too. So you'll be able to see the analytics on anyone they send or forward it to. Signature forwarding would allow your client recipient to say, wait, I'm not the person who can sign for the company. I don't have authorization. I need to have my manager sign it. So they could actually sign over that signing authority to the appropriate person, and that would also be tracked here in PandaDoc. On signing order, we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Signing order allows you to set a specific order on recipients. So let's say our client needed to sign. I'm going to add a field here. These are our fields. We have a signature field. And I'm going to set this here, signature. I want my client to sign here to accept our proposal. So if I have this signature field clicked on and it's orange, the settings will be on the right. I'm going to tell it who is responsible for signing this block, and it's the client. And now when we go back to our roles and we see our client role here, they are listed as a signer. The sender is just a CC recipient, which means they don't have to take any action in the document. Let's say our accounting department should receive any fully executed agreements. So I'm going to add accounting as well. I'm going to go back to signing order, and I have it here so that the client signer will receive this first. And when the client signer receives the document, the second and third recipients won't get it until the signer signs. When the signer signs this document, it will then distribute to the other recipients. If there were two signers or participants, it would stop here first. It would go to the next signer and stop there until they signed, and then it would continue its routing. So it's a great way to implement a distribution list that only delivers to the last recipients if the document is signed. Let's go back to our blocks here. We've talked about the title block, text block. We have an image block here, and I'm going to add an image. We'll add this guy. And you'll see on the right on the settings of this image block, you can use 1, 2, or 3 images across. I'm going to choose 2. And I guess he must not be happy with his briefcase today. So again, you can set 2 across. You can independently align each image. Have this one set to left right now. We can center him or align him right. This guy is on left. You can center or right align it. So we'll leave him here like this. And let's take a look at what we need to do next. So we have a couple of additional tokens here, and I'm going to add those because I want to talk about these. When you use tokens, we might have 2 similar tokens like comments. But if I just left this as fee, annual fee, startup fee, the token is only going to show one time. So it's one token called fee. It has 2 instances in here, but when I populate that information on the document side, it would put the same information in both of these locations. And that's not what I want. I need for them to be different. So I need to make the tokens different. So now I have a fee 1 and fee 2, or I could say annual fee and startup fee, because those are unique pieces of data. Next, we're going to take a look at table block. So our table block is great for tabular data. So we might have column 1 and column 2. We'll have some data here and some data here. And it can be used like any old table. What we can also do with a table in PandaDoc is we'll bring this one in, and I might want to have a 2-column layout. So I'm going to grab some text. I'm going to put some on this side and a little more on that side. And it looks like a table instead of a 2-column layout. So I'm going to click in there, turn on the settings for that table, and here under my settings, I can turn off the header, I can turn off the borders, and now it looks like a 2-column text layout. You could add a 3rd column or as many columns as you need to make the columnar layouts for your text, for your design. So it's very nice. Earlier we talked about changing the font here in design on more design. We can also change this table header background color by setting a theme color. So let's take a look at that. We'll go up in this blue area here, and let's choose that blue. And now you'll see that my table header has taken on that theme color. You can also set a background image. You can use one of ours, or you can upload your own. And we wanted it to fill the screen, which is what it's done here. We have 2 paper size choices, US letter or A4 for our international accounts. And next we're going to take a look at the rest of our blocks here. Excuse me one moment. Okay. We also have a table of contents, and you'll see it takes on that theme color as well. And it adopts the heading titles and lists those in the table of contents so that your recipients can click through your list of information. So I'm going to add a few more heading blocks here. And we'll take a look at how that works. You'll also notice that our heading 3, which is what I have this subheading set as, takes on that template theme color. So the theme color applies to your table of contents, the H3 heading, and your table headers. And I'm going to come up here to my table of contents. I'm going to refresh it. And now you can see how they show. I'm going to change that color to something that's easier to see. Okay. So we might have a heading up here. And you'll see when I refresh, it shows the table of contents in the table of contents. And I don't want to have that in there. So I'm going to click this X to hide it. You can also turn off or on the different heading sizes. I could say only show my H1s or show my H1s and H2s. And again, you can choose any that you don't want to show. We're also going to turn on right side navigation. Right side navigation will show an easy navigation panel in the web view so that your recipients can quickly scroll through your documents. The next block is our page break block. Page breaks are only going to apply to the PDF version. So in the web view, this will just be white space because our documents are one long scrolling page in web. But when it prints to PDF, you'll see that we forced the page break before heading 2. And here in our example, it is broken where we indicated we wanted it to break. You'll also notice on our PDF that although in the web view our heading block only shows once, in the PDF version it will show on each page of the PDF. And the footer also shows on every page of the PDF, but only once in our web view. The attachment block will allow you to attach static content. For instance, a PDF or a document like a docx file, an Excel sheet, Google Sheet. We're going to just upload this PDF here. And it's going to display exactly as it appears in its own, if you opened it in like Adobe. Now the only thing again is that it's static, so it's not editable. When I click on here, you see these borders show up. This is our standard content block area. That won't affect this at all when it's sent. So it won't cut this out or anything. And we can take a look again at our print preview to see what it looks like on the PDF version. And here we have it. It's one nice full page, exactly as it was created in PDF format. Now let's talk about safeguarding or managing content. So when your team comes in to use this template, there may be some content such as legal language. Let's change this to terms and conditions. So of course, I don't want the employees to change our legal language. So I'm going to want to lock this block. So I activate that block, I come over to the settings, and you see this option here for restrict editing. When I turn that on, this block is going to be locked. So you'll see the lock pop up, and now any of our team member users that have member privileges will not be able to unlock this. They won't be able to edit it. You can use tokens in these locked blocks, and those tokens will populate even though the user does not have access to the block. Okay. Lock blocking is only available on our business and enterprise plans. So if this is something that you're interested in and you're on a professional plan, you can certainly upgrade your plan to business so that you have access to this feature. Now we're going to take a look at the rest of our fields. Here I showed you a signature field. We also have text fields. These can be used to enter any kind of text. We have an initials field, a date field, a drop down, so you can have them make a selection, and a checkbox. So we might say, check here. We might have the date and title of the signer. Or let's say printed name. That's a pretty standard printed name of signer. We have a date for signer. We have a drop down so they can select one. Yes. No. You can list as many options here as you'd like. And also on all of our fields, except for the signature block, you can make them required or not required. So now let's talk about what happens when we send this document. These fields haven't been assigned to a role, so every time I create a document, I'm going to have to click through and assign these to someone. However, if you assign these in the template, it's automatically going to know who is going to be assigned to these fields when you tell the document who the client is or who the sender is. So these are going to be client fields. I'm going to click in and assign them all to the client. So if we didn't do this, you would have to click these every time you create a document and assign them to a recipient. When you assign them here in the template, you wouldn't have to do that. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. We also have our content library here, and this is a great way to store content that may not be used in every document. So sections of content like a marketing section, or here is a font set, design and marketing case study. So we, in our internal sales workspace, we have case studies and testimonials from our clients, and our team is able to search through to find the one that is most relevant to the client that they are communicating with, and just drag and drop it in. Now, what if I wanted to create a new content library block from something that I have already created here in this template? So we can do that too. If I click on this title and get my settings panel, right here are the ellipses where we did the lock blocking. We can also add to content library. So we'll say, yes, this is a new library item. This is a new library section 1, and we'll add that. So we just added this one block. Now I want to add this block too to that same section. So I activate this block, click on the add to content library. Now I'm going to choose, we're going to add it to an existing library item. And I click next, and let's find new library section 1. I believe that was it. We'll click add. And now it's ready to be used. So here it is, and you can hover over this little icon, and it lets you take a look at the block before you bring it in. And you see I click and drag and drop, and there it is. Let's take a look again at our image library. You can search here, and it's going to search by title, and I have this guy, and his title is Guy, Sad Guy. I can also rename him here if I want to. New Sad Guy. And close. I see I have my happy guy twice, so I'm going to delete one of them here, and there we go. So again, in your image library, you can view a larger image. It shows you the title. You can edit the title. You can delete an image here, and that's where your images are stored. So let's go back to our content. We've looked at all the blocks, we've looked at our fields, and we can see our tokens here. We'll look at populating them in just a moment. Let's also look at commenting in templates. So if I'm trying to finalize a new template and I want to communicate with my marketing team, I can locate that person here and say, hey, take a look at this new template, send feedback. So that will trigger a notification email to this user, and they can come in and leave any feedback here. Again, you've seen me come here under More and Print. This gives you print preview. You can also simply download a version with the download button. One other thing we'll take a look at is workflow here under More. We can turn on an approval process by switching this to on, and we would just list the approvers. So I'll list both of the users at this workspace as approvers. So what happens is when someone creates a document from this template, it will go to these two managers before they can send it out. And whoever comes in first and approves or rejects it would be the approver of record. So they don't both have to approve the document. Only one person has to approve it. And again, they become the approver of record. All right. So I'm going to stop now. That's pretty much everything that I have to share with you today. I am going to create a document quickly so that we can see how these roles work and become a recipient. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in, and we'll start answering those questions in just a moment. So remember, I have my 3 roles: client, sender, and accounting. And I told it, whoever's creating this document should be the sender. So it never asks me that. It already knows. If for some reason that's not correct, you can exit and remove and replace it. So the client's going to be my partner today, James. So I'm going to say, send it to James at PandaDoc.com. And then we'll say accounting at email.com. This is accounting team. So these roles or placeholders become these people in my document. So I'm going to start editing my document now. And we'll take a look at what those fields did. It says I have 6 unfilled tokens. I click Review and Fill. It automatically opens this token panel on the right. And I can say company name is PandaDoc. And we'll grab some information to put in here. So you can copy and paste into the token area a small bit of content or a lot. And we'll take some of this out. That's a bit long. But it can be as long as you want it to be. There's no specific length that a token data must be. But you see it will shift around my fields here slightly, and I may have to adjust for the size of that content. And you'll see that all of these fields that I had are assigned to James, so I don't have to do anything with those. Looks like I missed one with this checkbox. So this is where I was telling you, if you don't do it on the template side, you always have to do every single field on the document. So we'll assign this to me. And so our document, except for this checkbox, is ready to go. And I can just send for approval because I did turn on that approval process workflow. I want to show you one other thing really quickly with our roles. You'll notice that it didn't know the company name, but if I set my roles appropriately, it would already know that. So if I go back to my templates and I go into the sales proposal and I go into my roles, so we're looking at client, and that company name, we should easily populate that based on our contacts in our contact book if we've added them before. So here in tokens, you'll see that I have 4 standard tokens for each of my roles that I added. So I want to use this one, client company. I just click and copy and paste, and I can add that anywhere that I need to in my document. And now we'll see we have, I think, 3 instances right here. So I enter it one time on the document side. And it's going to populate all 3 of those instances. And here we go, real time, and it's populated that data. Okay, James, let's see if we have any questions out there.
Yeah, we sure do. Got a question for Nicole. If you would like to move things around on a cover page, would that have to be done in CSS? I was having a hard time finding out how to move things around on a cover page and add things such as the starting page numbers on that page if I wanted to.
So with page numbers, you'll notice that you can turn page numbers on in the header or the footer section. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So you only see the page numbers when it's printed. You won't see it in the web view. It never numbers the cover page. It only numbers the internal pages. And here you'll see it starts page 1. And we have 4 pages. And attachments are not numbered. And as far as moving the blocks around on the cover page, you can definitely move them with these handles. But of course, remember, we only have 3 blocks on the cover page. We have a logo block, the title block, and a text block. So you can't add additional blocks to the cover page. Thanks, that's a great question, Nicole.
Another question. If I want to print out my document at the end, is there something that guides me to where to put the page breaks? I had a couple questions about page breaking. So you kind of explain that, print preview options, those types of things.
Definitely. So for this, I'm going to go back to the documents that we created from the template. For instance, here, let's take a look and see what this looks like. This is a draft, so it's still editable. And I want to see if the page breaks look okay or if anything needs to be modified. So I'm going to let that print preview load. And you'll see here, definitely want to add a page break before that heading title. That looks okay. Probably need to add one here as well. So yes, you use that print preview. And I see that I need to add a page break for this heading title and also this one. And so now we can look again, and it should be much better. Because right now we can't see where the actual page PDF is going to break in the web view. So we do need to use that print preview to manage it. And now that looks much nicer. You can see it's ready to send. Great. What else have you got, James?
If I needed an initial on all pages of my document, can a field be inputted into a footer?
Unfortunately not. That's a little bit of an interesting concept because when you send out a document in PandaDoc, the web view is one continuous page. So there's not really pages. So depending on, typically our initial block is going to be only visible on the web view because the block's not going to print. Hold on one second, I'm having trouble loading my document here, but I'll show you what I mean in just a moment, I hope. So when you put blocks in PandaDoc documents or templates, you see these little green boxes. But when you print it to PDF, right here, you don't see those boxes. So what you could do, if you think that the person that you're working with is going to actually sign, scan, and return instead of using the digital signing e-signature that's built into PandaDoc, you could put a initials area in your footer. So you would say initial here and maybe have a colon and a line and make it initial on each page of that PDF. But because PandaDoc is one continuous scrolling page in WebView, there's no way to do that. Great question. I had somebody that we went kind of through that whole thing earlier this morning. James, what else have you got?
Yes, another question. Can I change the text font and heading font under styles and have it apply to all blocks I've already added? Or do I need to do that in advance?
Yes, with one caveat. So let me show you what that is. Here we have selected our font under Design, and we've selected Source Sans Pro. So if I change it now, let's take a look at this. So it changes everything, see? The only exception is if you've come in here and used this styling editor, there is also a button here that you can change font family. And you'll see that this no longer has the font applied that I set here. So there is a hierarchy in the styling. And the top of the hierarchy, the one that takes over everything, is this. So if you set your font here, it will override any other font choices. I can turn it off and it will take on, again, remove font family, and it goes back to whatever I've set in my design styles. So these apply across the template unless you have changed something up here. Great question.
All right. Question, if I want someone to be able to edit the document, let's say accountant and the manager, but not all, let's say not the client, is it possible to do this? If so, how do I do this?
So I want to make sure I understand. You want someone else to be able to make changes to a document after it's sent.
Correct.
All right, so certainly the recipient, the client, cannot make changes to the document. They can make comments to you here in the comment panel and say, I would like to see this change, but they won't be able to make that change. You would have to come back into your document to make that edit. Either you or a manager or admin. I believe that's correct. Am I right with that, James?
That's correct. It would be a manager
Yes.
and above, or basically anyone who has access to or be able to edit other documents. For example, in our enterprise plan, we have the options for custom rules, right? That we can
That's right.
set that, but for our default standard levels of team member
System.
permissions, it would be manager and admin who have access to those.
Awesome. And actually, let's go to one of these that I've sent out, and I will show you that editing functionality. I'm having a little slowdown here. We'll come right back to that. Is there anything else, James?
Yeah, there is one more.
Okay.
From Nicole. This may be getting ahead or advanced. If I customize the look of my design and fonts to match my branding, does PandaDoc only support default fonts or Google Web Fonts as opposed to my own typefaces that I own web font versions of?
You can use any Google font by applying it through CSS in the templates. And there's more information actually on our FAQ page. So I'll open that. We'll take a quick look there. It is more on the advanced side. We do have an advanced webinar coming up soon. But here you can see that you can use CSS in PandaDoc to customize styling. And we have the information on Google Fonts right here. So you can use any font that is served from Google Fonts, and you can use any font that we include in our font options. But you cannot use your own fonts from your own servers. Okay, so we're going to go back to that question about editing. So you see, I have the ability to edit this. It's a completed document. Both parties have signed, so it's fully executed. I can edit. and make a change to the document. This was changed, and you'll see it went from completed back to draft status. The signatures disappeared because both parties have to be aware of the changes that were made, so we have to resend it. So that's to protect all signing parties. And what happens is we store a version here under More. It's going to go back to Sent in just a moment. Sent. And here are our version storage. So we have this original version that we can reference if needed, and this is our most recent version. Okay, I think one other person had a question about the width of columns in a table. You can absolutely change that. If I go into this sales proposal and we have this table, you have to have your header turned on, and you just grab these columns between and stretch them as needed. Add more columns, and again, you can move them and make them wider or narrower. You can also set alignment, center, left, right, for each column. And you can, if you want to, turn off that header after you set the widths of the columns, depending on your use. Anything else out there, guys?
No, not necessarily related to the questions that we have. I've been answering lots of questions also as you've been going along. Question, can we also see pricing tables and how they work? Can you go over a review of that real quickly?
Sure. So let's grab a pricing table. You'll notice that there are 4 standard columns: the name, price, quantity, and subtotal. You can also add custom columns. We have one other pre-formatted column called SKU, or you can create an empty column for custom data. You can also retitle any of these columns to make sense for your business. So this may be services, this may be fee, this may be licenses. I can't type today. And you can also hide the columns that you don't want to show. So if you click on this subtotal column, you can remove it right here in the settings. You can give it an item name. So this might be item 1. And we'll give it a little description right here in the description area. We'll tell it that it's $50. I'm sorry, yeah, $50, and we'll have 100 seats. And you see your subtotal and total. You can also turn off this subtotal and the total. And you have your custom info here. We can also add a section. And in that section, I'm going to drag it to the top here. This is monthly recurring. This might be upfront, or we'll say one-time fees. And I'm going to put this back up here. Let's see, refresh real quick. Okay. One-time fee. Now I can also show those subtotals. So we have this show section subtotal option. I'm going to turn that on. And now you can show the totals by section. You can also add a tax. We'll say 5%. You can add a discount. You can choose if it's a total table discount or if it's a line by line discount. I'm going to choose a total discount of 15%. And you'll also notice that if I come over, I can retitle these by clicking in the box. So this might be a trade show discount. So you can give it a custom name. Same with tax. This could be sales tax or that. And you can add multiple taxes up to 2. So we'll add the second tax of 4%. And now we'll turn back on our grand total here. And there we have it. You can also make items optional. So we'll click on this line item, get the settings, and we're going to say this is optional. The customer can choose to purchase it or not. You can either send it turned on or turned off, whichever you choose. And you see that it changes that subtotal. You can also make the quantity editable. So maybe we don't know how many licenses they need. We'll turn quantity editable on, and the customer can enter the appropriate number or quantity there when they receive the proposal or quote. And again, it automatically updates those totals as this number changes or as these optional items are selected or deselected. I apologize, I missed the pricing table. That's something that we definitely want to show you. Okay, guys, that's about all I have for you today. Anything last minute come in, James?
Nope, we're all good on the questions on this end. Thank you, Tara.
Awesome. Don't forget that you can download our attachments. There are 3 that are available. And we also have a survey that we'd love for you to participate in. It's great to get feedback from our customers. And I thank you for being here today, and I hope you've learned something. And we look forward to having you on future webinars. Thanks, and have a great day.